Sean Teasley from Social Tonic. Today's video, we are going to talk about hashtags. What are they? How do they work? What platforms do they work best on? And other best practices. So let's dive into what are they. Hashtags are your way of, or the platform's way of organizing content, clustering, grouping, and organizing posts of the similar thread of type of content. So let's take, for example, attending a conference. In my world, social media world, there's a major conference that happens every year, and it's called Social Media Marketing World. And let's say I decide not to go this year, but I want to see what's being covered on stage, what's happening. And I might be over on Instagram or LinkedIn and following the hashtag, which they probably have the hashtag of, instead of Social Media Marketing World, it's probably SMMW23 for 2023. And I could follow that tag to see what's being posted from the conference that I might be missing out on. Or if I was at the conference, I could also see what other people are posting about while being at that conference. So that's just one way. If you're at an event or at a concert or some kind of large gathering of people in a group, they may be using a social or a hashtag to have everybody be able to post and be able to find content of that similar vein. So let's take, for example, though, well, I'll hop over and show you on a client example, but hashtags work really well clustering and grouping content together. And it gives you a way to find ideas for new content. It also gives you a way to see what people might be saying about you. So let's say that you have a branded hashtag. Well, actually, let's hop over to a client example, and we will run through all of those things. So let me quick share my screen. So this client is a guest house in Puerto Rico, and they have a branded hashtag. So the name of their business is the VAK's Guest House. So their branded hashtag is the VAK's Guest House. So they want anybody that might be staying at their guest house to be using that hashtag when they're out and about on the island and sharing content and posting about their great experience on their holiday. But we also, so let's see, if we scroll down and look, here's another example. So we posted about that the guest house also is a place that you could host a marriage retreat. So in this vein of trying to categorize the post and get other engagement, they are going to use the hashtag marriage retreat, couples retreat, couples. They also use a branded hashtag for the island, which is just VAK's. Here's their branded hashtag, VAK's Island, VAK's Puerto Rico. So let's say a visitor is planning a trip to VAK's. They also want to see what are the beautiful places to go. And so they could go on to Instagram and get a visual of what is to see, what's the great things about the island. So here's an example that I pulled up. So if we just look at the hashtag VAK's Island, here's what pops up. There's a section that is called top posts. There's also a section that's called most recent. Now we are on the web browser version of this, but if we were to look at the way that it shows up on mobile, there will also be categories that are up here, up top, that give you the different options as well. So depending on if you're on mobile or desktop, there's different sections. So the top posts are the most either liked or had the best engagement on them or impressions, the biggest, the most seen type post. So we have a few of those in the top section, and then we have the most recent. So that's more like this gal, she probably posted 2 hours ago. So yep, that is an example of a recent post. But we can also go, so let's say that we are the VAK's Guest House, and we come over and look through some of the content that has been tagged VAK's Island, just to maybe get some ideas for social media posts that we could be doing. So if we're scrolling through and then we see like, oh gosh, there's a professional photographer, and maybe we could repost their photography. Reach out to Jen, ask for permission, say, hey, we'd like to give you credit, and your pictures of the horses are beautiful because they have wild horses on the island. Would it be okay if we repost? So that could give us an idea. Scroll through, we're looking, oh gosh, we do yoga on the rooftop. We should be posting a couple of pictures about mats and people doing yoga on our rooftop. And then scrolling through, what else is going on the island and it's being popular? Let's see. Oh, we haven't posted about the swing. There's like a couple of swings on the beach, and we have a picture like this that we could post about. Or let's see, there was something else here. Oh, we have, a picture of us in front of the VAK's city sign. We could post about this as well. It kind of just gives you some different ideas that you could be using with your own content. So that's one thing. And then, let's hop over. So this is what it looks like for the VAK's guest house. So they can look and see, okay, well, these are the majority of their own personal posts that they're posting on behalf of their business. And if we scroll down, we can see like, oh, here are some guest posts. Like this is not something that they've posted about, but this is a guest that was at their guest house and that posted, some different pictures, and we can see what the guests are up to when they're out and about on the island as well. They're renting bikes and, enjoying the hammocks on our rooftop and things like that. So that's an example. Oh, and then here's another example of what I was mentioning with the social media marketing world. So you can see what's happening at the conference during, like getting ready for the conference, who's been posting. And so it hasn't happened yet. So there's a lot of promotional type posts at this point. But once the actual conference is in play, then people will be posting with that hashtag. So let's see, what else do we want to talk about? Oh, let's head over. So we looked at this idea. So the hashtags can be about the subject matter that you're trying to go after. So here we're posting about couples retreats. And so there's images about this, then we're using hashtags that are appropriate for that as well. Let's see, if we go over to, well, for example, if we were to click on this turtle photo, we also are using like snorkel VAKs or VAKs adventure and things like that. Those are another example of how you're using tags to draw attention per what people's interests might be. So again, a visitor might be coming to the island. They have all intentions of doing a couple of snorkeling trips. And so they might be following this hashtag and seeing what's going on and what's popping up under here. So for instance, like if they were to click on this, it would give them some examples of what it looks like to be snorkeling on the island and what you might be seeing. So it gives that traveler the opportunity to do some research ahead of time before they come. Okay, so we're back to the VAK's guest house. This is their Instagram page. Now let's say, well, let's give this as an example of how this is going to look. So if we go into view insights, from a post that we created and posted, we can see, okay, so here it's showing there for this post, we received 807 impressions. Now, how we got those impressions were from hashtags. So 523 of the people who came over to see this post were coming from hashtags. So they weren't necessarily followers already of the VAK's guest house, but because they were following a hashtag that we used in our post, then that's how we got the view and the impression from them. So this is an example of how that works. Okay, now let's take, for example, a traveler is doing research and they want to learn a little bit more about VAKs in general. They can come onto Instagram and search based on location. So here, the VAK's guest house, they tagged VAK's the location. So if we click on that, we can see different images that are popping up based on top or most recent. So if I just click on most recent, and let's pretend like I was a traveler, I was going to see, oh gosh, it looks like we are going to see turtles when we're on this trip. And the beaches look fantastic. And oh, this is a fun photo opportunity in town. And it gives people more examples based on the location of what they might be seeing as well. So location is also an important one to tag in your posts as well. Okay, we covered a few things, and this was a very travel focused example. So let's think a little bit wider in this as well. So let's say you are an architecture firm that is specializing in net zero or passive house style of principles in building. So you could also be tagging in your social media posts passive house and both of the different types of spelling of passive house. You could also be tagging Denver as far as like the build or construction location is Denver. You can also use tags for Colorado architect or Colorado architecture or mountain homes and things like that, so that people who might be wanting to build a house in the mountains, they may be following the tag mountain home to get ideas and things like that. And then you are going to come up in their feed because you're using that hashtag as well. So that's just a couple examples about how hashtags work. We covered about how you can look at different hashtags to give yourself ideas for content that you could be producing as well. You can also see if somebody's tagging you. If you have a branded hashtag, then you view it every couple of weeks to see if anybody's used the tag, tagging you. And then based on that, if you would like to repost their content because it looks good and it's something that's valuable, you can also reshare it. And that has given you an alert by checking your own branded hashtag. There are a few different ways to handle hashtags. So let's just cover Instagram while we're talking about it. Instagram, the limitation for hashtags is 30 hashtags per post. The posts that are going to be in the feed. If you're going to do stories, it's a max of 3 hashtags per story. Now, you can put hashtags in the caption, or you can put hashtags in the first comment to the post as well. So there's 2 locations within the feed type post that you can post, or you can publish the hashtags. Let's think about a little bit further out with hashtags on other platforms. So we have LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter. So Twitter is huge in hashtags as well. Many times because of the character limitation, you are using hashtags as words. So for instance, let's go back to the architectural example. You're talking about a house being built and it is using passive house principles. So the caption is something about check out this hashtag passive house build in hashtag Denver. So you're using it as alternative, or you're making your words from the caption into hashtags as well. Most other platforms other than Twitter, you don't use the words as hashtags. You would write out the actual content with the words, and then you put the hashtags down below. So again, because Twitter has limitation on the number of characters, you try to squeeze in as many hashtags as you can. But a lot of times it's where you probably come up with about like 4 to 6 is kind of the max that you sneak into a caption that size. But when I am over on Facebook and LinkedIn, I put the hashtags at the bottom of the caption and I use a max of 5. In summary, that's basically how hashtags work. They're a little bit different on each platform. The maximum use of them varies per platform, and we'll dig into that as we create your strategy, depending on what platforms we're going to be posting about for your brand. And we'll dive into that, and I'll be delivering a whole strategy for your content. See you in the training.